Yes, all right. Welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi, your daily host on this channel and daily host on this show. And in this one, we're going to be looking at my five strikers that I think should replace Alexander Lacazette at Arsenal. He's not been a success at Arsenal. There are no questions about that. You will never convince me ever that Alexander Lacazette was a success at Arsenal, unless the definition of success for me is something else. Lacazette was never a success. He was a failure. But who are the five strikers I think could actually replace Alexander Lacazette, because he's set to move on in the summer, and I think anyone who comes in to replace Lacazette could actually do better than them. These are my five strikers. One from inside Arsenal and four outside from the market. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and give me your five strikers who you think should actually replace Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Alexander Lacazette at Arsenal. One, I think Gabriel Martinelli. Now, look, there's so many questions and confusions around Gabriel Martinelli. Is he a striker? Is a winger? He's not getting game time because I think where he wants to play, a lot of players are playing there. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Alexander Lacazette, and of course he cannot play right now. He cannot play on the wings. Saka, Willian, and Pepe are occupying those areas. I think if we try to use Gabriel Martinelli, if you try to use Gabi as a striker, I feel he can actually become that part of that important player. He can provide the goals. He has a very good finishing touch, and I think his finishing is better than that of Alexander Lacazette. He's just 19 years of age, or becoming 20 now. He is a young player. He's been at Arsenal. He has proven that he can play football. And if we do not give him that fighting chance, if we do not give him that chance to play football, eventually he is going to want to leave the club. And for me, I think that would be very, very ridiculous for us to lose such a player like Gabriel Martinelli. So I think instead of going out in the transfer window, Arsenal should actually focus on developing Gabriel Martinelli as a striker. I look at him as a striker. I see so many qualities of a striker. Even if he's not born a striker, you would turn him into a striker. I think we have seen so many players like him turn into central forwards and they actually bang in the goals. So I think Gabi is the first striker I would actually go for if Arsenal wanted to replace Alexander Lacazette. The second player is Paton Dhaka. Paton Dhaka plays with Australian side Red Bull Salzburg. He's been linked with Arsenal before. He's been linked with a couple of Premier League teams, and he is one of those strikers, actually, black strikers that really score goals, and they score goals well. But my only problem with Paton Dhaka is coming from he's coming from an Australian league that is actually very, very, very low in the rankings. So I can't really put him on the same level like players like Gabi Martinelli. And actually, if you look at his goal scoring rate, he's better than so many strikers at Arsenal. But he is in a league that is so primitive. I don't know whether when he comes to the Premier League, whether he could actually get those goal scoring boots. I feel like he needs to go from Salzburg and go to a club like RB Leipzig or Dortmund, then get that touch, get that goal scoring touch, and get used to intensive football, the intensity of playing for a big club, and probably he could actually make a big move like Arsenal or Chelsea. But he is another player that I think is good at finding the net. He played with Erling Haaland, and now he's banging the nets there at Red Bull Salzburg. He's another player I would think of. But my main priority in this one would be Odsonne Edouard, and that is the striker that I would think Arsenal should go for. One, his contract has 1 year left on his, 1 year to go to expire. That is understandable. That means you could actually get him at less than 20 million, and I think he's been consistent. I've already said this, and that is why I really like him. He's been consistent in his goal scoring form for the last 3 years at Celtic. And I think that is what you need. You need a player who is consistent. You need a young man who can actually score goals and help Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, as a centre forward. And for me, I think Odsonne-Edouard fits that caliber of players very, very well. I don't know what you think, you people, about Odsonne-Edouard, but I think for me, he would be that perfect player that I would actually fit in for Alexander Lacazette, and he would actually do very, very well. He's not so much of a box striker, and of course Lacazette is a box striker, but Edouard is not so much of a box striker. That means he could actually, create space for Aubameyang, and he would actually occupy that space if Aubameyang created it. So I would look at him as the perfect player to replace Alexander Lacazette. And the other one is Oli Watkins, Aston Villa. I did do a video about Oli Watkins. He's still, you people still remember. And I remember your reactions. You did welcome the video, and you did welcome Oli Watkins to Arsenal as well. So I think he's having a great season at Aston Villa. The only question is, would Villa be open to selling him at this moment in time? And of course, I don't think they would be open to selling him at this moment in time, unless they are, crazy. But I don't think they will be selling him. But I think Watkins, if Arsenal can think about going for such a risky deal, like Oli Watkins, banging the money there, some 40 million, and see how Aston Villa could react. Because for me, I think Watkins, one, the only thing he has better than all the strikers actually we've mentioned is Premier League experience. He's been at Aston Villa. For me, Aston Villa is an average side. It's a mid-table side. And he's banging in the goals. He's doing so well. I like his movement. I like his finishing as a player. But one of the things I really like about Oli Watkins, and this might actually surprise you, is the fact that he is not a box striker. But he's going to be there in the right time, at the right moment. So tell me what you think about that man, Oli Watkins, to Arsenal as a potential replacement of Alexander Lacazette. And then finally, Calvert-Dominic Lewin, Everton. He started off the season so well, and everybody was dreaming, flying, and everybody. My problem with Calvert-Lewin is he's a striker that feeds off aerial balls, and Arsenal this season is crazy. But we have so many crosses, but we have a crossing, an accuracy of 20% when it comes to crossing the ball. So I might not actually think that Arsenal is the right club for a player who wants area balls. I remember we had an Olivier Giroud. Giroud could score 30 goals off his head, but the problem was the delivery, the crossing. Yeah, Lewin is a good player. He also has Premier League experience, but I don't trust Calvert-Lewin. He's a good striker, but I just don't trust him. I just don't feel him in my blood. I just don't feel him as I would feel Edouard, as I would feel Oli Watkins, as I would feel Gabriel Martinelli. But he's another player that I would think Arsenal should actually think about if we were going to think about replacing Alexander Lacazette. And finally on the list is the big man, the big wolf, Erling Braut Haaland, one that Arsenal might not go for because of the financial constraints the club has, and everybody knows that. But one player that everybody would want to see at Arsenal, every fan of every club would want to see Haaland, would want to see their club sign Erling Haaland. But of course, the finances will actually limit Arsenal at the end of the day, and everybody does know that. But those are the 5 players that I think should actually replace Alexander Lacazette at Arsenal. Edouard, Martinelli, Paton Dhaka, Oli Watkins, and Calvert-Dominic Lewin. Smash the like button, and I'll speak to you later on.